Greetings, Eric Bakker, naturopath, author of Candida Crusher. Thanks for checking out my video. The question I get asked quite regularly, and I recently got asked only a few months ago from a lady in Australia, was what kind of cheese can I eat on the Candida diet? Is there any kind of cheese which is better than other? So, as we all know, one of the big things which you may have read if you've gone to yeastinfection.org is I'm really interested in people taking out as many of the potentially allergenic foods from their diet. This is the second stage of the Candida Crusher diet approach. We take out the potentially allergenic foods and we look at a hypo or low allergenic diet with people. Now we know that cow's milk has the potential to have the highest allergenicity of any kind of food that you can consume, right? Any kind of food. After completing over 350, 400 food allergy profiles. These were blood-based food allergy profiles. When I worked with a medical doctor in Australia in the 90s, we worked with a pediatric population, tested 350 children, and we found that in 70% of cases, cow's milk came back as the primary allergen. So cheese didn't come back really as a high allergen at all. With a small percentage of children who had a very strong bovine allergy, where the beef came back as strong as well as the milk, then the cheese antibody count would come up as well, I found. So the point I'm making here is cow's milk's the big one. And of course, any products associated with cow's milk have got a potential for allergenicity as well. Now let me explain this a bit more in detail because it sounds a bit confusing to you probably at this stage. So milk has the potential to affect people both from the allergy perspective as well as the lactose perspective. So lactose is a sugar found in milk. Okay, now we know that Candida can thrive on sugars. So cow's milk contains lactose, therefore it can, allow Candida to proliferate in the digestive system. But cow's milk also contains a protein called beta-casein. And the beta-casein is a primary allergen in many people's bodies. You'll find that with many people, like you hear me sort of coughing at the moment, I had some cereal this morning with a bit of cow's milk in it. Now I know I shouldn't really have cow's milk, but I enjoy sometimes a little bit of cold milk, fresh milk on some cereal or some porridge. And within a few hours, phlegm build up. Is it Candida? No, in my case it's a food allergy. It's the beta-casein. So I know I have an allergy towards that. Intolerances and allergies are two separate things. You can read more about that on yeastinfection.org. Allergies involve antibody-antigen responses, whereas intolerances usually involve problems with enzymes in the body. For example, a person who doesn't have sufficient lactase or the enzyme to break lactose down has what we call lactose intolerance, which is not an allergy. So I hope that sort of explains the difference between those two. So anyway, I'm off track now. Coming back to the cheeses. Well, of course, cheese is made from milk. So then the problem arises, do we need to look at cheeses with a low lactose content, with a low beta-casein content? Well, I've not generally found cheese to be anywhere near a problem with Candida as I have cow's milk. Any cheese made, for example, like goat's feta is one of my favorite cheeses. I make up a nice salad with olives, tomatoes, lettuce. I use all the things out of the garden. I use rocket, spinach, endive, parsley, basil, all these things. I'll put them in a big bowl with lemon juice and olive oil on top, and then I'll crumble up some goat's feta and put some black olives through that, some cucumber. It's a beautiful salad. I never have a problem with phlegm or coughing with goats at all, and you'll find the same. Goat's cheese is usually okay with Candida. Some cheeses that you might want to try with Candida are mozzarella cheese. Some of the Swiss cheeses aren't too bad. Monterey Jack cheese, for example. But the goat's cheese, in my opinion, is one of the better ones. I tend to stay away from soy cheeses and don't even contemplate those fake cheeses, with the plastic wrap. I mean, that's just basically plastic. You can actually get a hold of one of those fake pieces of cheeses and light it and actually burn, they drip. So, you want to avoid that kind of junk at all costs in your diet. So make sure when you start on your Candida diet that you certainly take all cow's milk out. And you probably want to take cheese out and start experimenting with the cheese after about 6 to 8 weeks. Start including the goat's feta and in small amounts of Swiss cheese, or the mozzarella, I think, is one of my favorites as well. A tiny bit of mozzarella. Start small. Don't ever take large amounts of cheese. And you may find, like a lot of my patients, that different cheeses are perfectly acceptable with Candida, but in small amounts. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you for tuning into this video today.